Hi everyone, welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Irit, I'm an artist and I mostly paint with watercolors, and that is what we talk about on this channel most of the time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and leave a comment, and also subscribe. I would love to have you here. So today I thought it would be fun to make a video about products and brands that I feel are not getting enough online attention. And obviously it's very possible that more people are talking about things I'm going to mention and I'm just not aware of that. I don't watch everyone everywhere. But I just felt that these were some products that I mostly discovered on my own or got recommendations and didn't see them get the attention or, praise that they deserved. I would also like to ask you to please leave a comment below with your picks for products you adore and you think are fantastic, but for some reason nobody's talking about them or hardly anyone talks about them, and that can be anything, art related. So I would love to hear your thoughts about this. Without further ado, let's get into it. Everything I'll be talking about will be linked below, so don't worry if you missed something. All the information will be there for you. The first brand I want to mention is Royal Talens. Royal Talens is, I want to say, a Dutch brand that has a wide range of art supplies. They also make a traditional range of artist watercolors called Rembrandt, and also a more affordable line that most people call it student grade, which I kind of understand. We'll talk a little bit about that, which is the Van Gogh watercolor range. And also they have Ecoline, which are liquid watercolors and like brush markers. All three of those ranges are vegan and the quality is very high from what I've seen. Now, as a brand, I would say they compare to most of the other artist grade watercolors that I've come across. However, I barely noticed anyone talking about them. Mostly what you hear is Daniel Smith, which I love. And from the European brands, Winsor & Newton, Sennelier, Schmincke, Lucas, that is kind of what you hear. And then Rembrandt was never really center stage. I got familiarized with them through Van Gogh. My local art store here in Austria carries some of the Van Gogh palettes, the ones in the town nearby. If you go to Vienna, then in Vienna there's a big art store. Well, there's more than one, but the one I usually go to, called Bosnell, has the entire range of Van Gogh and Rembrandt there. But the palettes from Van Gogh are very widespread and easy to get where I live. You can also order them through Amazon. And they're really just fun palettes to start with if you're on a tight budget, if you're just starting out with watercolors and you're not really sure you want to invest, like 100 euros in a really nice artist grade set. Van Gogh offers smaller sets for less than 20 euros, $20. And that's a really good place to start. Another reason that I really like them is that both brands offer really interesting sets, which I think is always a fun introduction to a brand. Especially once you have a basic set in your stash, but you want to try something and you're not sure, or you feel overwhelmed because most of these brands offer between 100 and 200 colors. It's really nice to just grab a palette with a, curated selection of colors and test the formula, test the colors, and see if you like it. And Van Gogh also Rembrandt does that, which I really appreciate. Besides the fact that they are local to me in Europe, relatively local, and that they are vegan. Now, having said all of that, the color, the quality of the paints is fantastic in my opinion. With Van Gogh, it really varies. I wouldn't recommend it as like a one go-to brand. Now, Rembrandt have a fantastic range of watercolors, and they have also the more expensive pigments, but the prices are still very competitive compared to other brands. They offer also, not on Jackson's sadly, but in the art store in Vienna where I go to, they have the 20 milliliter tubes, which are, you know, are just great, especially for colors like I buy their white or their ultramarine blue, those kind of colors that I go through rather quickly. It's really nice to get a large tube for a very competitive price. I feel like they deserve more love. I feel like they're at the same level of pretty much any other brand. And I just wish more people were aware of it and would try them. Their color range is really great and they have some beautiful colors. It's not as extensive and fun like the Daniel Smith range, but for me, for a lot of the colors that I use, kind of the staples, I am switching to Rembrandt because they are really the most affordable and the quality is fantastic. The next item I want to talk about is my new obsession. I'm sure you've all heard me talk about this a gazillion times. I'm talking about the Fabriano Vergatone. I'm gonna hope that's pronounced correctly. A sketchbook, which thanks to me and you, I think cult pens sold out that journal twice now already. Hopefully it's now in stock, but this sketchbook, I haven't seen anyone use it or anyone talk about it. I bought mine at the airport, I want to say in Munich, at the beginning of this year before COVID insanity. And I just thought it looked really pretty, and I was at the shop and I couldn't resist it. You know, you always want to get something cute. You always hope you'll get something good at the airport shop, and it rarely happens, but this time it did. And the funny thing was, I was flying from Rome to Austria through Germany. It was just cheaper. And I saw the Fabriano store in Rome and I was like, don't look, because I may have done some shopping while I was in Rome, like this sweater. And then I got to Munich and there was another store and I was like, okay, that's the universe. The universe is speaking to me. I will listen to the universe. And so I bought a couple of sketchbooks from there, and that was one of them. I never heard about these. I've never seen anyone use them. And I decided to use one for my summer project, which was, if you haven't seen that series, I posted a video every day, every weekday, and I painted mostly loose florals using all the colors in my palette. And I used that sketchbook. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions about it, and I've also received some raving reviews from people that tried it after I recommended it. I'll try to describe this paper. This is a thin paper, relatively thin paper. I couldn't find anywhere information what kind of paper it is, the weight of it. All I know is that it's 30% cotton, if I'm not mistaken. And to me, it feels somewhere between, I don't know, 120 to 150 GSM, something like that. So thin paper, which I prefer in a sketchbook. It's just feels more inviting to me, less precious to have thinner paper in a sketchbook. It has a beautiful cream color, and then there's the magic that is the way that this paper behaves. So it doesn't behave exactly like 100% watercolor paper, in the sense that when you wet it, it's just a little bit kind of more pliable, more sensitive. So for me, I really like sketching with pencil even when my watercolor is wet. And with this, I had to be kind of careful, not because the paper tore or anything, but just the lines it just didn't work like watercolor paper. However, you can drown this paper in water. It doesn't buckle. The colors really flow. So if you want those kind of smooth blending areas, it's really easy to achieve with this paper. I don't know what it is. I've never seen thin paper like that that doesn't buckle and just takes in the water. Whatever Fabriano did on that, they should get the Nobel Prize for formulating watercolor paper. I'm sorry, that's how strongly I feel about this. It can totally be a personal preference type of thing. Maybe other people would not enjoy it as much as I do, but I think it's the perfect journal, not to mention the fact that it's very pretty. It has those deckled edges and that hard cover that make it feel luxurious, but still kind of inviting and handmade. It's definitely going on my gift guide, so spoiler. I love that journal sketchbook. I think it's just beautiful and I want the world to know about it and try it and talk about it because it's just a lovely, lovely sketchbook and I had no idea it existed, which is wrong, very, very wrong. Moving on. The next item on my list are some of the Derwent pencils. Now I do think that Derwent, this is a British brand, and I do think they get a lot of attention, and I've seen a lot of their products featured in YouTube videos. I feel like probably their Inktense products have been mostly kind of successful or featured in crafters and mixed media artists or coloring books, that sort of thing. It is a fantastic product if you're not familiar with it. Inktense pencils and blocks. It's kind of, the pencils are like watercolor pencils, but once the pigment is activated with water, once it's dry, it's permanent, which makes it really great for art journaling, or if you just work in layers, because it's permanent, it doesn't get reactivated. So it's really great for working in layers. It's kind of like ink. I have them, I don't use them a ton, but I do agree they are a really nice and unique product. However, what I want to talk about are some of their special pencils. I feel like their strength really lies with some of their pencil products. And my favorites are their charcoal pencils. A lot of companies offer charcoal pencils, which is a really great way to play with charcoal in less of a messy way. You still get that, I don't know, the way that the pencil, like the charcoal scratches the paper. There's something to it. I really like the effect of it. But I'm messy as it is, and I don't need to have, you know, my fingers covered in black charcoal. So I really appreciate charcoal pencils. The greatness of Derwent's product is that they have tinted charcoal pencils. So you can get very easily black charcoal pencils, probably also white, but the tinted ones are really, really lovely, and they just bring a whole other fun element to playing with charcoal in a very clean and mess-free way, which I appreciate. Another product of theirs that I really love is their drawing pencils. They have a set, they have so many different ranges, sometimes it's a bit confusing. I'm talking about the set where the pencil itself is brown, and they have a range, it's kind of a limited range of 24 pencils. Really great color range for landscape, that sort of thing. Very muted but still lively color range. I would say a lot of them are semi-neutrals, which I personally love. So muted purples, muted greens, muted blues, some grays, a few browns. Really lovely, and the pencils themselves perform so well. They deposit pigment wonderfully, and I've really enjoyed them, and I really felt they had kind of an added enjoyment element to them compared to my other pencils, which are also great, and you know, I love them. But I felt like there's just not enough people were talking about these, and those are like really great pencils. And the last type of pencil that I want to mention are the Graphitint, which I've seen, I think Caran has a similar product to it. The Graphitint are like regular graphite pencils, but again, they are tinted. So like the charcoal pencils, they have kind of a muted tone to them, and they are also water soluble. I really enjoy painting with them. I enjoy combining them with my watercolors. I love the contrast of those muted colors with more vibrant, bright watercolors. Everything works so well together, and the charcoal pencils, the Graphitint, and the drawing pencils are just fantastic. I think they did such a great job with these, and I wish more people would discover them, because I do find them to be more interesting and fun than the kind of standard pencils out there. Next, we have to talk about my watercolor palette. This is another discovery that I'm going to give myself credit. Usually I'm much enabled by other YouTubers and I discover things thanks to them. But this was my own discovery, and you know, on Amazon, so maybe Amazon discovered it first. This palette is fantastic. I talked about it several times in other videos, so I'm not going to talk too long about it, but it is not perfect in any way, but the whole is just greater than the sum of its parts. You can see this palette fits a lot of pans, and you can use half pans or full pans, so it's all up to you. You have that freedom to configure it whichever way you want. And then you also have 16, if I'm not mistaken, 16 really deep, large wells where you can squeeze a ton of paint. It's not super tiny, it is kind of heavy, but it is perfect. If you like to switch your palettes around, if you like to, what I did this year was seasonal palettes. If you have a large collection and you want to rotate colors, you don't want to use the same colors all the time, you enjoy tweaking your perfect color story, which is what I love to do, this palette makes it so easy. And the best thing is that it is so cheap for, you know, what you get, in my opinion. I bought a backup because I was using mine every single day and I was scared to not have a backup. But I had a viewer write that you can just have, you know, a few of these that house your entire collection, and you can rotate them and play with them around, move them according to the seasons, or, you know, if you're painting, have a floral palette, a landscape palette, an urban sketcher palette. It's so flexible, so customizable that I love it. I cannot imagine my life without it now. Okay, I'm a bit dramatic because mostly now I'm using my new Schmincake palette. That's not true, I use them both. It is fantastic. I hope it's still available. I know a lot of you bought it from after my recommendations. I'm really happy. I heard a lot of people also loving it. That makes me really happy, especially because it is so affordable. So yeah, check it out. And I can only, if you fit that profile, that you have a large collection, or you like to tweak your palettes, you like to switch things around, you have some in tubes, some in pans, or you have some colors that are always staples and then the rest you like to change, this palette might be, you know, the greatest thing that happened to your studio since sliced bread, because we all have that in our studios. Okay, the next couple of items, I'm going to say that they probably get enough attention and people talk about them, but I don't know if we have really, you know, captured how great they are, also compared to what is out there in the market. And I'm going to keep this one short. The Caran Museum Aquarelle pencils. These are watercolor pencils. They are probably the most expensive watercolor pencil out there. I have tried a lot of other brands. In my opinion, nothing compares. The pigmentation of these pencils, the way that they release when you paint in wet watercolor, which is what I really enjoy doing. Or also if you sketch something with a pencil and then you go back and activate it with water. I don't think they compare to anything. I have the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, I have, you know, Inktense pencils, which are not exactly watercolor pencils because they are permanent, but still water soluble. And I have the Prima ones, which you could say they're more like craft supply. Nothing compares. And I've had other people say the same to me, having tried other brands. There's something about these pencils. Now, they are expensive, but you know, you can collect, slowly grow your collection, grab a few colors. Some colors might be more interesting than others, or more special or more intense. So just look around. I try to recommend specific colors in my monthly recommendations. If you go to Aliona Creates channel, she also shows her collection of colors, and she also has like a curated color palette, so you can look there, see the swatches, and you know, maybe grab some colors you enjoy. Or you can go and watch my gift guide from last year and see that I recommended them there, and just grab a set for Christmas, because you know, I mean, it's 2020 and we all need something happy in our lives. They're just fantastic. Okay, the next item I want to talk about, I think it gets you know, good attention, but still I think it's worth mentioning, and that is the Escoda Travel brushes, especially the synthetic ones. And the reason that I say synthetic ones, not just because I only buy synthetic brushes for ethical reasons. The price of those brushes and the quality of the product is really hard to match. There are, you know, other travel brushes out there, but they tend to be quite a bit more expensive. Da Vinci has their Casaneo synthetic brushes, which are beautiful quality, but I think the price is like 3 times as much as Escoda. And I recently picked up, I have a small collection of their travel brushes, and I have a larger collection of their regular brushes. I really feel that the price is so attractive and the brush is so beautifully made that if you have any doubt you might want to use them on the go as travel brushes, just get the travel option and not the regular brush. You can keep them open with your other brushes and you won't really know the difference. They're very nice to hold. They have that metal barrel that, you know, looks good in my opinion, and they're just lovely. So I recently added a couple of the Ultimo brushes, which are probably the closest to kind of squirrel hair. They're so beautiful, so lovely. I really enjoyed them. I traveled with them to Italy. Such good brushes, and I really think the price point for a travel brush is so attractive that I highly recommend them. The animal hair ones are a lot more expensive. Grab a synthetic one and try them. So I had to share the love for those. The last product I'm going to mention is, it has that joy factor to it that you might not share because we all, you know, feel differently about things. But I have recently added to my arsenal of supplies 2 new sharpeners. I've had for a long time the electrical sharpener from Derwent. I'm not too in love with it. It worked fine for a couple of years. Now I'm kind of over it. I gave it to my kids. And I have the 2 actually manual sharpeners. There is something about those long pencil points that makes me really happy, and I would encourage you, if you suspect that appearance of a pencil would bring you also joy, then you should consider it. The cheaper option is, you know, some people just carve kind of the point of their own pencils. I think, who did I see do that? I think Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, I think she does that. So that's probably a you know, a cheaper option, although these are not expensive. I have two, and you can see on the screen how they sharpen a pencil. I really love it. What can I tell you? There's something when I paint with those super sharpened pencils, it makes me happy. What can I tell you? That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, again, give it a like and leave me a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, if you agree, if you disagree. And I will see you soon in another video. Have a great day. Bye.